It's been in mainstream news that UN-associated vaccine programs are killing children from Pakistan to Syria to Colombia. I've got all this news, but I was just here looking at this French news agency headline, mystery illness plagues girls in Colombia. And then it links right in with saying the parents say it's after a vaccine program. And they collapse and they start having convulsions. I mean, it's the same story over and over again. What was the headline just Monday? Vaccine deaths in Syria. I mean, it's just crazy. Then they go safe and effective, no adverse reactions in the vaccine program here in the U.S. We're just good about when our kids have convulsions and blood comes out their nose or whatever, and they never talk again. And the doctor just tells us that they don't know why, and then, or maybe they call the cops on you and say, you beat your kid. And then they get somebody else they can throw in the system. I mean, here in America, we put up with this. They have banned Gardasil in European countries, in Japan, in India, within a year of it being introduced 8 years ago. But here in America, they're banning GMO, and they're pulling it out of the McDonald's food in South Africa, but not here. They're banning it all over the world, but not here. Not here. And that's why we lead the pack in obesity and neurological disorders and so much more. And I'm not being negative. The good news is we know what's going on. You don't want to walk around out in the field or the desert in the middle of the night. You'll step in a hole and break your leg. I've always used that analogy. And then I was out in Big Bend and wanted to cut across the parking lot to get back to the lodge. And my friend said, there might be snakes out there. And I go, it looks pretty flat. And I'm walking along in some scrub brush and stepped right into a 3-foot hole and blew out half of my Achilles. And may have to have surgery. 8 months ago, 7 months ago. I got a pimp walk, though, now. Literally. And what if there had been floodlights? I'd have seen that hole. Must have been where an old telephone pole or light or something was. It was a pretty big, perfectly round hole right there in the dark in grass. Just ought to fill that thing. But that's what I'm here doing, is trying to put light on things so we can see all these holes so we don't step in them and break our ankle or break our foot or break our Achilles. Or walk into an old well. They're supposed to fill old wells or put grates over them. People die all the time out in the night, walk around a field, fall in a well. My dad was playing around one when he was a kid and fell in it. It's only like 20 feet, he climbed out. And there's just tons of breaking news every few minutes being posted to Infowars.com. A lot of it original video, a lot of it original articles, original intel to PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com, our two main sites. Again, the nightly news site is PrisonPlanet.tv. InfoWarsStore.com is the big funding mechanism with high-quality made-in-America, Liberty-based apparel, and other great products, water filters, non-GMO, non-hybrid seeds at very low prices, very high quality, very inexpensive dash cams branded to InfoWars to protect yourself and be citizen journalist when you're out in your car and about. Literally over 1,000 high-quality products, shortwave radios, all of it at InfoWarsStore.com. When you go to InfoWarsLife.com, or you go to MadeIn1776.com, it takes you to subsections of InfoWarsStore.com to find different proprietary areas of the shopping cart. Just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, let's get into the latest on ISIS. I predicted this wasn't hard to do because I've seen him do this before. Obama, under public pressure, knowing Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and others through the West and NATO, armed ISIS to take over a bunch of areas. They've been arming them for Libya, Syria, Iraq. They tried to have basically the Muslim Brotherhood, same group, Sunnis, take over Egypt. And just do horrible things. So it just shows you who runs our government, the type of stuff they want to do. This is in the news today. Obama to micromanage war against ISIS military. The military can't attack until he signs off on every strike because it works so well in Vietnam. Well, again, in Vietnam, they didn't want them bombing the North because they wanted to keep the war going for war profits. And Armand Hammer and Al Gore's father were on record owning factories in Russia, making the weapons to then be sent in. They couldn't even attack or torpedo the ships in the North that were bringing the weapons in to Hanoi. Same deal. In 2001, they wouldn't let them attack the real Taliban and al-Qaeda in Kabul and other areas. They would only let them attack the 14-year-old conscripts on average out in ditches. So our troops were killing real people, but they were literally simulants. Now, once there was an occupation, the locals started fighting back. Then you just call them a Connie network. Those are just people that want control of the opium. Now you're fighting the local Afghan mafia that wants the schmack money. So our troops fought real people. My cousins killed them. Biggs has killed them. It's a real war. You understand? But it's staged in that they weren't allowed to take out the leadership. Same deal here. I've watched so much gun pod footage and missile footage. I mean, I know when they want to give you crisp footage, you can see with people crawling around the ground, bleeding, bodies flying around. You look at these blurred out photos they're sitting in the video. It'll be like a Toyota truck with nobody around it, empty, or two pieces of artillery sitting there, and boom. No, if you saw real footage, it'd be a road with a column coming up it, and jets coming in and dropping JDAMs, and the whole column just blowing up. That's what you'd be seeing. You'd be seeing the day they poured in out of Iraq, tens of thousands of them. Out of Syria, you'd have seen Highway of Death and those columns of Toyota trucks blown to bits. So, Obama to micromanage war against ISIS, military can't attack until he signs off on every strike. Well, you don't want him to bomb the al-Qaeda folks that McCain's been meeting with. France makes first airstrike on Islamic State in Iraq. Other operations will follow in coming days, says Holland. Give me a break. Rand Paul on ISIS. Intervention created the chaos. Good job, Rand Paul, pointing out that it all got started by our government. We'll be right back. Oh, by the way, Al-Qaeda offshoot says it's hijacked a Pakistani naval ship, a destroyer. There are at least 11 missing passenger jets. I'm going to open the phones up in the next segment to get your take on Scottish independence, your breakdown on Putin, who's considering unplugging the internet in Russia during protester war. U.S. government warns Oregon researchers about monkey care. That's in Reuters. I've got an angle I want to go with on that. I don't think people thought about. Also, 1/3 of Americans cannot name the 3 branches of government, but 1 in 4 Americans are open to seceding from the USA. Well, the USA got taken over and doesn't exist. That's why, callers call in and say, calling in from FEMA Region 2, calling in from FEMA Region 6, calling in from FEMA Region 10. Because people don't know we're in 10 FEMA regions. Isn't that just interesting? Organizing for Action has 40% off on grassroots gear. No one wants the Obama stuff. And Drudge points out, including diapers. $4 off on that. $9 off a Action. Yeah, maybe we should come up with a new Obama shirt where it shows a supporter slitting their own throat. Oh, let's bring in a fascist healthcare system written by foreign banks that raises 20-plus taxes on people, including 7 taxes on poor people. Cuts their hours. Yeah, payroll tax on working poor. That is really good. But you know what? He's their buddy and smiles at them, and they feel important. So Obama supporters can actually buy diapers or onesies, not just children. I think that's a good thing, and just all crap their pants, and then the government can maybe have somebody come take care of it for them. 40%. We need to do a story about that. Obama swag plummets. I mean, everyone's running from Obama. No one wants to be around Obama. I saw in Chicago they're not going to name some street after him or some community center. I mean, give me a break. But he's meant to be destroyed. And then they'll rehabilitate him. He'll run, like the Clintons, charities, and keep half the money for himself and live in giant mansions, fly around on jet airplanes. The same scam over and over and over again. But getting back to ISIS, I was mentioning that. Rand Paul on ISIS's intervention created the chaos. In a long speech on the Senate floor, the Kentucky Republican laid out his foreign policy vision and took transparent swipes at members of his own party. That's what I like to hear. That's more like daddy. And I get the fact that the apple didn't fall far from the tree, and I know Rand Paul for many years. I'm probably the first person to ever interview him. I remember going, who else around the campaigns? I just had Ron on yesterday. He was running for the House in 95, 96. Who else can you get on? And I was talking to Rand Paul, who was working on his campaign. He said, well, I guess I've done some newspaper interviews. I don't really do radio, but I could come on, I guess. He came on my nighttime radio show. Because his district used to come up down by Houston, right up to South Austin. So they really wanted, they liked my show because they got support on it. I'm not bragging. It's just weird. It's a good chance he can end up being president. And he's got to do some politics for the main line because the main line is so dumbed down. But he really is a good guy. I know he's good. I admire Ted Cruz. I admire anybody who can do a 36-hour filibuster without going to the bathroom. I mean, it's tiring doing a 3-hour radio show. But standing up for 36 hours and being eloquent the whole time. And he's got a very good voting record. I don't like some of his Goldman Sachs past or his wife with the CFR, but you know what? Someday we'll take over the CFR. Someday we'll take this country back. We have to be ready for the power structure, people that are good at it, to join us. We can't just say, well, you were in the CFR once. Well, what lawyer working for Goldman Sachs isn't if you're not going somewhere? We got to be ready for people to join us, and then if they have good fruits and if they do the right thing, then they're on the team. I'm opening the phones up throughout this entire hour. And then former presidential candidate, best-selling author, researcher, Chuck Baldwin and his son, Tim Baldwin, who's a constitutional lawyer, are going to join us. They're up in Montana, and it's in the newspapers there, and the attorney general's involved. They have prosecutors telling lawyers in court, don't bring the Constitution up, and they're acting like it's illegal to be a libertarian or a conservative. Just like the Army earlier this year, it was even in Fox News after we broke it. I'm just pointing that out, that this was confirmed. Said the founding fathers wouldn't be welcome in today's military, and, quote, do not be part of the Tea Party or attend evangelical churches or you will be disciplined, including court-martial. And you're like, what? Well, that's First Amendment, plus those aren't even terrorist groups. How could you say that? They're seeing what they can get away with. They're pushing the envelope so far. They take us 1 million miles. We fight back 500,000. They've still taken us 500,000 miles down a rat hole. That's like police all over the country who will shine spotlights in your eyes, do all sorts of stuff like that, will arrest people for taking photos of them in public or videotaping them. And they'll say the iPhone's a gun or the flash hurt their eyes. Every day I see news articles, mainstream and alternative, going, man beaten, woman put in hospital, person arrested and charged for videotaping police in public. I remember the guy we had on a couple times from Illinois who videotaped police at his own junkyard. And they charged him with enough crimes that he was going to be in prison for life. And the state attorney general sent police down to openly try to advise with prosecutors how to get the conviction to set that precedent. That's pretty scary. There's a new headline here out of PNAC. Tucson cop leaves photographer hospitalized after claiming he was blinded by flash. They say it's an assault. Victim hospitalized with whiplash injury. And then it goes into how the cop attacked him. And again, I'm not just here to attack cops because I got some beef with police themselves. But we all know in North Korea and Mexico, the cops are bad. I don't want to become that. We know the police became bad in Nazi Germany. We know the police were oppressors in Russia. We know that when the government becomes corrupt, and look how corrupt it is, that it's going to roll downhill and they're going to create autocratic, authoritarian, imperious mindsets and promote those cultures. And I'm seeing it, so I'm criticizing it. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Hey, now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.